welcome to BJJ Boost Podcast Episode 2. My name's Chad Hawkins, and I'm going to be going through today kind of how I use the app. We also have a one-on-one coaching call with one of our clients, and we're going to kind of go back and forth with whatever they want to go over today. And I'm going to run through some of the processes that I do daily, plus one of the clients purchased our daily greens, so we're going to get that packaged up. And like I said, if the app seems like something that works for you, make sure you go to iOS or Google Play and download the app today. Join the community. But besides that, let's dive in and get started and go from there. All right. So we're going to start with making our one-on-one coaching call first. And, basically when you're in the app and you book your one-on-one coaching appointment, which everyone who is a user of the app right now has full access to this. You can basically schedule a 30-minute call. I'm not saying they all have to go 30 minutes, but you can schedule a 30-minute call and we will have a one-on-one coaching session. And that can include pretty much whatever you would like it to include. So if you want to talk about how to use the app, how to plan on figuring out the app better, if you want to talk about Jiu-Jitsu, if you want to talk about trying to hit the daily tasks, 100%, whatever it is, the purpose of opening this one-on-one coaching part of the app is so that new users can feel comfortable in hitting their daily goals and starting to expand their life, okay? So in the future, as the app grows, that service won't be free and that service won't be available unless you subscribe to it. But we're going to make our call right now, which is at 11:30, and we're going to talk with Adam, and we're just going to see where that goes from there. So let's make this call. We're going to do it on the phone, so you can choose between Zoom and we can kind of look at what you're doing on the app or what I'm doing on the app for a Zoom meeting, or we can do a phone call, whatever works best for you. That's kind of the whole purpose, is so that you're the one expanding, you're the one getting better. All right, and I can show you some of the things I'm doing, or we will talk with other users and you can see what they're doing as well. Let's see how this works. It's the first time, so.
Hello.
Is this Adam?
Yes, sir.
Adam, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Welcome to the podcast.
It's good to be here.
So, you made a one-on-one booking appointment, and we're now talking and just wondering what you're thinking or what you're going with or what you want to work on.
All right, well, I love the app. I got to the portion recently where I'm doing the monthly blueprint, and as I'm looking through that and looking through some past drilling that I've done, the stuff that I'm doing is good, but it doesn't flow together in any cohesive way. And so really what I'm looking for is, I don't really feel like I have a good game plan going into, anything yet. And so I was primarily looking to see if maybe you could help me out and kind of get my training more focused.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. It's kind of funny because when I started the app, a lot of these things didn't even exist. Like, I didn't create the monthly blueprint or the recap in the beginning. It wasn't even part of my thought process. But then as I started doing all these little things, I was like, I wonder what it would be like to, like, at the beginning or basically the end and beginning of every month to do a blueprint and a recap and just kind of see where I fall into place on those things. And honestly, I just, finished at the beginning of this month, I finished my first blueprint recap. And it was kind of cool because in there I was able to set, how many rounds I wanted to achieve for that month. And I just set the goal of 100 rounds, and I didn't think about, whether that would be a lot of rounds or not a lot of rounds. But what I noticed was it at least kept me on the mat. A lot of times when I'm coaching or I'm getting caught up and trying to help other students, I kind of like forget about my own progress. And by doing that goal and tracking it in the battle tab every day, it kind of like held me more accountable to making sure that I'm actually hitting these live rolling reps and prioritizing my time just a little bit better instead of just existing on the mats and walking around and trying to help whoever needs help. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
And the other thing I noticed was I never really tracked my drilling numbers either. Like I didn't think about, like I would do whatever reps or I would do whatever motions I was working on, but I never really thought about how many actual reps I drilled a month. And for the first time ever, it was 3,400 last month when I did the monthly recap, which was kind of cool. And you can basically go in every day and look at your battle tab and see where you're at. And like the battle and the drilling, I don't hit every day. I probably only hit the battle and the drilling tab 4 to 5 days a week. And that, like you shouldn't put so much pressure on yourself that you have to hit every one of these things every day. I mean, if you can, that would be awesome. If you can keep that motivation and not get burnout, that would be awesome. But like just being able to track those things and say, okay, you know what? I was showing up 4 days a week or I was showing up 2 days a week, but I wasn't actually utilizing my time in the most efficient way possible. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I've noticed too, whenever I've just been tracking some of this, the drilling I've been tracking for, I think, 2, 3 weeks. And that's helped me stay consistent with a lot of things. Because I mean, like, I know there's stuff we can work on. There's stuff I can work on and drill with my Jiu-Jitsu dummy that I've affectionately named a Dolly. And but like it's still it is helpful to keep track and keep accountable as far as the drilling and stuff goes at home. And I have noticed too, I just in the last week and a half, 2 weeks maybe, I've kept track of the live rolling, and I was disappointed, I guess, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I really do just kind of float around.
Right? That's exactly where I ended up. And I actually, I noticed your training dummy the other day when I looked at, right now the app's kind of small. There's like 20 to 30 users, and not a lot of people are actually utilizing the app. There's probably only 3 to 4 people that are actually like holding themselves accountable and trying to hit daily progression in the app, right? So it's not really hard for me to keep up with that right now. I like to be able to kind of go in there, and I think it's really cool that anyone can go in there and click on what each person's doing, right? So like you can click on my thing and see what I did for the expand for the day, and like imagine if you were to look at 3 or 4 other people's expand every day and see what each one of those people were able to learn each day, right? Like yesterday, I learned really cool back control details. And then if I was to look at your expand, like maybe you learned a really cool footlock detail. And like instantly within a few minutes, I could get some really cool eye opening experiences with my jiu-jitsu, right? So
Okay.
I think
It's
that feature's cool.
whenever I'm looking through it too, it's helped. I mean, me only having a little over a year of experience going through and looking at that really helps get like frame a point of reference for what's important and what's not important. Whenever I'm looking at the guys in the app who they're like yourself that are a black belt, and I know there's a couple I think purple belts and brown belts in there too that are using it, and looking at what you guys focus on versus what I focus on is really eye-opening because there's like a lot of stuff I'm like, I would not have even considered that.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. A lot of it's cool because through this process of this app, when I first started this app, I didn't expect it to go this direction. I didn't expect it to be, this enjoyable. I mean, I know that sounds funny, and it's a pretty simple app overall, but like to be able to hear you say that, right? To be able to hear you say that, to be able to, see what you drilled on your training dummy, or to see like one of my other, one of the other people in the app, Chris, the way that he's using maybe like the fuel tab where he's taking his daily greens, but he's also putting his diet in there, just to watch the evolution of the app is cool to me because I have this one vision, and that doesn't mean it's right or wrong or that's the all way to go. Like you can really use the app any way you want. The whole purpose of it is to just live by that code where you're just trying to improve yourself one day at a time. I think sometimes we as humans constantly look at the end of the road, right? Like I constantly want a new house. I want to be a millionaire. Like I want to be a 10-time world champion. I have all these goals. And if I look at that big picture, it like is exhausting, you know? But if I look at just getting up every day and saying, okay, you know what? It's not that hard to choose one person in my life to give appreciation or gratitude towards, right? Like it's not that hard for me to learn one new technique every day. Like 365 techniques a year, 365 people I appreciate a year. Like why is that so difficult that, you know, and people say, well, I can do that without the app, but they're not. They're not even doing it with the app. You know what I'm saying? So, um, you know, every day you could stretch for 5 to 10 minutes. You know, you could go to a chiropractor, you could do yoga, you could do ice baths. You know, there's so many different ways to recover. There's so many different ways. You don't even have to use the expand tab necessarily for jiu-jitsu. That's the cool thing about the app, right? Like, what's one thing you're learning every day that's actually expanding your mind and making you a better person? I'm thinking about adding another tab in there, like where every day you have to like read a book or listen to an audiobook, whether it's just 2 pages. Um, when I was listening to Garrett, the cool thing he said is don't just do the motions, right? Like I've been listening to Garrett White for a year now. And he said, you know, if you're going to read a book and just read the book and do the motions, but not get anything from it, what's the purpose in reading the book? So, me,
Yeah.
it's like I'll read the Bible, I'll just read the Bible 2 pages a day, you know, and I just want to figure out in those 2 pages what I learn. Or I'll read, 15 to 20 minutes of an audiobook and actually absorb that information instead of just letting the audiobook play for 3 hours and getting nothing out of it.
Yeah. So whenever thinking about this stuff, for me, it reminds me of there's a verse in Proverbs. I think it's 13:11. It's like he who gathers little often will increase their wealth. And going back to what you said about, there's a lot of stuff that everybody wants out of life, and you're right. Looking at the end goal, it's like daunting. It's like there's so much to do that, and it can be discouraging. But I mean, doing a little bit every day. That's the way you just doing what you can every day, whether it's a little bit or a lot. Doing what you can when you can, and try to be accountable every day. I focused more on my jiu-jitsu game, with trying to make myself do as many of those daily tasks as I can. I focused, I want to say it like 5 times more than I usually do. Usually, like, I just kind of, I do what I can, I think about it a little bit, but having to actually be accountable to myself and write stuff down and, make myself do things to be accountable to the app and with myself, it helps, and it makes it that much easier to do the little things that I can do every day, because there's a way to track it. There's a way that it can flow smoothly, and I can look at my history and see, you know what, I don't feel like I did a bunch this week, but I'm looking back, and I actually did a lot more than I thought I did this week,
Yeah.
and it's encouraging.
Yeah, I did a competition journal before the ADCC this weekend, and then I did a competition journal after the ADCC, and it's just kind of interesting sometimes because I didn't even plan on any of that stuff. I didn't plan on using the app the way that I'm using it whatsoever, but it just keeps getting like these little neat stages along the way that I think make the sport more fulfilling and make my day and my life more fulfilling to be able to see those things.
Hey, congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, that was brutal. I did not expect that kind of pace. That was, like it just felt like you were being ravaged by a bear every round and they're yelling at you. It's like I never did that format before. Um, and it was weird, like I guess just most tournaments they start out with a little bit of slower pace in the Masters, and I'm saying like these guys just came out. I escaped like 15. It felt like, Tyler Gordon just but way better at leg locks, just nonstop trying to rip my heel off.
Yeah. So, did any of them? Was he? Did anyone throw you around like Tyler does?
No, dear, no. I mean, but that guy, you know what's crazy is that dude at 140 was just so compact and so technical
Yeah.
that it was kind of neat, you know, like it was a really good back and forth. Like I passed his guard, I almost had his back control, but just the pace was so fast compared to like most matches that you just kept kind of going from one thing to the next. It was weird. It was a neat experience. So,
That's
but
exciting.
what do you where else do you want me to help you? Where like what do we want to work on? What are we thinking about?
I'm thinking I need some direction on, I guess, what is going to be the most effective series of drills to kind of chain together.
On a training dummy?
Whether it's a training dummy or in person, because like the past week I did, I know I did some stuff with butterfly, but I also did some closed guard stuff. I did two different types of arm bars, and like I'm drilling different stuff, like in person and on the dummy, but it's all seemingly random, and I guess to me it just seems unfocused. And if there's a way to kind of chain my thought process together with a series of things that I could work on that would flow into one another.
I think a good one right now for you would be like from what I've noticed is like two really good passes, like an inside pass and an outside pass. So like maybe a knee cut or maybe like a knee cut and a bullfighter pass or a Toriando pass. But I feel like your sequences are kind of forced right now, right? I don't know if it's like your nerves or you're jumping in and using like a lot of strength, and I think you need to kind of figure out how to slow that down because you're not sure exactly how to engage. So I think the big thing that we struggle with as practitioners is when we feel like someone's better than us, we rush the process and then we kind of actually just expose ourselves more than we actually um, do the right thing. So I think one, slowing your mind down when you're going to live roll and being a little bit more patient with the hand fighting, whether it's playing guard or playing on the feet. I think sometimes people correlate hand fighting as standing on the feet, and hand fighting and foot fighting is also, when you're playing versus a guard player, being more patient so that you're getting the right entries instead of forcing the entries. So I think on a training dummy, you can work like that bullfighter pass, you can work that Toriando pass, you can work that knee cut pass. But having two passes that you're really confident in, I think will make a huge difference in your game. And like drill them. Like I know I've drilled the Toriando 10,000 times. I know I've drilled the X pass 10,000 times. So I think getting two passes that you're really comfortable in, and then I think in class when you're going to do those live rolling, I think you need to be more patient in your hand fighting, set it up correctly, and see the openings and then do them so they're executed correctly and you land them instead of rushing the process and then getting into a point where you're getting into places that you're even more confused now, right? So like when I'm sitting there hand fighting or I'm sitting at headquarters, I'm good there, right? Like I don't have any issues there, so I can kind of think. But if I rush the process and I land in whatever it might be, let's say 50-50 or quarter guard or half guard, and I'm not as confident there as I was in the other position, now I'm going to even put my brain into like more alert mode instead of actually falling back and being able to like reset the process. Now I'm going to go into more panic mode and do more dumb things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think the big thing is drilling two passes, and then I think the next thing is drilling better sequences, like better transitions, right? So like really smooth a guard pass to like a really nice side control positioning and having the underhook and having the head club, or even like taking it to the next level where you're down low on the hips, right? Like you pass the guard and then you should maintain the hips to control your opponent. And then you should slowly climb up inch by inch because every time you go, let's say from the hips to clubbing the head and underhooking the arm, right? let's say you're jumping 15 inches there. Well, that 15 inches is a huge amount of space for your opponent to escape, to get on their side, to get on their frames, etc. But if you take it, 2 inches at a time, you're gonna eventually be able to like completely control your opponent and give them no space to actually escape or get the positioning that they want. So I think on a training dummy and on drilling, you can do all this where you do your pass and then you start really low on the training dummy. And then you got to think like someone's going to be pushing on your shoulder, someone's going to be pushing on your head. And you need to shimmy your head, you need to shimmy your shoulders and work your way up to that side control. And then you need to stay tight and maintain that knee on belly. And then you need to pass over to the mount, and you need to be able to back step from the mount back to the knee on belly or side control. And all these motions need to be like very smooth and controlled. And I think you doing that will give you like a nice pass, a nice working your way up from low side control to higher side control, like a good knee on belly, a good mount, a good back step so that you're not getting like, if you're about to get your leg caught in quarter guard or half guard, be able to back step it and come back into side control instead of going back into that guard. And then a transition where you can like sit up and take their back. And being able to move through all those smoothly, I think, as a white belt will be the best, most beneficial thing for your path.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that's where I would start if you're going to, I mean, you seem to be playing a lot of top. So I think if I was going to, unfortunately you can't work on all of it. There's just not enough time in the day. But I would be telling when I wanted to start working top, I told everyone I'm playing top. And if they didn't want to play guard, then I didn't roll with them. And there's 40 people on the mats right now in Terre Haute. So if somebody doesn't want to roll, go to the next person. But, you've got to be able to work what you want to work on, but you've also got to be able to work in a controlled fashion that, if someone's smaller or something, you're not doing reckless things, but you're taking the strength out and genuinely working on the technique aspect of it.
So, to recap, two passes, work on two passes with confidence. Some examples might be, knee cut, the bull pass or the Toriano.
You could add the X pass in there too. That's a good one.
Okay.
And all these things, the cool thing about this is now that we've had this conversation is you can go type in YouTube and you can type any one of those passes and you can watch a 5 to 15 minute video on it. And then you can take one screenshot and discover one detail, right? Like a grip, positioning, a form of posture, Discover one thing that really stands out to you in that video, take the screenshot, put it in your expand tab, and then that would be your expand for the day, which is kind of cool. So that all that can chain in together from this call to hitting those daily tasks better.
Awesome. Yeah. And also slow down and be patient, especially with like the hand and foot fighting. Drilling sequences to, the guard pass to side control, focusing on the club head and underhook, keeping my hips low. And then instead of going up huge strides, focus on, the little amount of time to keep the space that my opponent can escape low. And then also working on being able to back step into like a good position where I'm comfortable, like headquarters instead of getting caught.
Yep. And then I would try to find like one back chase, whether that's getting them up on their side and putting the seatbelt on or putting them in a gift wrap or something. But, you can YouTube all this, but like side control, transition to the back and figure out exactly, what comfortable sequence that you want to go over. That's what I plan to go over tonight is maintaining the back control. But, I think all that sounds good. I think that's a good foundation for you to begin to work on. And I'd like to start seeing some pictures in your expand tab and some summaries on, what you're discovering during watching the footage and what you kind of want to declare to your game. I think is one thing I'd like to see in your daily task section.
That's on the expand.
Yep. So the expand tab, I mean, as you go through the boot camp, a lot of it will show these different things. But you can also kind of just cheat a little bit and jump on other people's and see what they're doing. But the expand tab is really simple. You just have to watch one video a day. Doesn't matter where it's at. Doesn't matter. It could be an instructional on the app, or it could be on YouTube. It can be on Flow. Right now, mine is on AOJ. But I watch anywhere from a 5 minute to 20 minute video a day, and I just try to screenshot. I've been screenshotting like 6 or 7 different parts that I really like. That way I can just kind of look at the screenshot and say, okay, I remember all those details and why I liked that exact screenshot. But you just upload a summary. Like yesterday, it was basically how Hoffa was going over the way that he maintains the back control and the grip that he uses, and how he doesn't care so much about his hooks, but how he cares about pinching his knees together so that his opponent can't escape as much. And if opponent fights one of the hooks off, how he maintains that sit through position to regain the back. So I screenshotted, basically the grip of how he like connects to the back really, really tight, and how he uses his gripping and keeps his chest to their back. And I uploaded that screenshot, basically with that summary, and that was my expand point for the day. And then you just have to make sure when you check in and get your expand point for the day that you go back over to the I want to say it's basically wherever the journals are. There's a daily task tab in there, and make sure that you're clicking the daily task expand so that you get your achievement point for the day. Because essentially, I'm going to pull up right here, and you'll be able to watch this podcast later, but I'm going to show the users kind of like what I'm talking about, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about too. So here's my expand point for the day, and the summary of it. And then once you complete this check-in, you get your 1 point for the day. It'll show all the other users and kind of where they're at and how many times they've checked in. And then you'll go to content, and then you go click the daily task tab, and you make sure you hit your expand. All you have to do is go in there and hit complete every time you complete one of these daily tasks. And then under your profile, you're going to have a total activities completed. Like my total activities completed is now 449. And then I have a 55-day streak of basically making sure that I've hit these daily, not all of them, but I've at least hit these daily tasks pretty consistently every day so far for 55 days. Now, the funny part is it says I have 29,000 minutes invested in the app, and I don't think that's possible, but if it is, that's a lot of hours. I'm guessing that's me as I was creating the app, I hope, but if it's just from using the app, that's going to be a little extreme. So, but does that give you a good game plan for the day, or you got any other questions or anything you want to go over?
No, that's perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for.
Okay.
That gives me stuff to work on and how things flow together, and it can kind of help me wrap my mind around how to start chaining stuff together for good progression within a match. So that's exactly what I wanted.
Okay. So you'll be able to make these calls once a week. Basically, I'm going to open it up to all users. If any users want to book a one-on-one coaching call and we go through the same process, just book the call inside the app today. I unlocked that feature for all users once again. Adam, I do appreciate you being on this call, and I look forward to seeing you tonight. And if you have any other questions, we'll just discuss it tonight.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
All right. That was a good call. I actually enjoyed that call. It's funny because once again, like I said, I started this app and I created this process, and I did not expect it to work or function like that whatsoever. I had no clue how that call was going to go, and I had no clue how this podcast was going to go. So, like I said, if you want to start holding yourself accountable, if you want to start hitting daily goals and daily tasks and expanding yourself and getting your life to the next level, or and getting your jiu-jitsu to the next level, download BJJ Boost on iOS or Android. Send me a message if you have any questions. Right now, the network isn't that big, so it's kind of cool that I'm able to work with people. And like I've talked to Chris a few times, I've talked now to Adam, and I've talked to a few other people using the app. And it's cool to see people investing their time and trying to get their life to the next level instead of just existing and being in the same motion, getting up, watching TV, getting up and watching Facebook Reels, getting up and doing things that aren't productive for your life. It's time that we become productive, and I appreciate you guys watching this podcast, and that is going to end episode 2. Have a great day.